Test 1, 2, 3. Testing microphone audio. Just testing audio before we get started.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all are listening to the Overseas Connection podcast.
Shut up and sit down.
Here we go!
Would you kindly?
I think we're just getting started.
Medic!
I'm a witcher.
I think this is more than you can handle.
He sits on his ass all day.
Let's do this.
Well, hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to episode 760 of the Overseas Connection podcast. Today is November 26th, 2023, and I am your host today, Greg DeLacy, Gamertag Murphy's Law, OC_Murphy's Law on Twitter. And it's going to be a solo show today. So you get to listen to me go on, much like Robin last week, but I promise you, I'm not going to bore you with a bunch of racing stuff. No. We are going to talk about life. We're going to talk about video games because that is what this podcast at the end of the day is about. We're going to crack open some ginger ale. Yeah, I'm hitting the hard stuff today. And yeah, we're going to sit back and relax and have a fun afternoon. Hey, Boomer in the chat. Hope you had a fantastic Thanksgiving. And of course, everybody, I hope you had a fantastic Thanksgiving. And if you don't celebrate Thanksgiving, well, you missed out on a day of indulging, just eating a lot of food, being with family. That's what it's all about. Okay, and Boomer's saying no sound. That would be problematic. So, Boomer, you can't hear me at all? Okay, you probably heard no music. Is that what you're talking about, Boomer? No music, but you can hear me. I can sure. I'm just assuming it's that you are not hearing the audio because I do indeed hear my voice. So there's that. Anyway, okay. And if for some reason you're not hearing sound, I'm going to guess it's because you don't have your volume up. Just saying. Okay. What is on order today? Well, I'm going to cover the basics. We are on YouTube. We are on Twitch every Sunday, 9 p.m. in the UK, 4 p.m. in the East Coast. I can't even talk. This is what happens. 3 p.m. Central Time Zone and 1 p.m. on the West Coast because we are the best coast. And this is once again is reaffirmed by the fact that in the Central Time Zone, Kim is now under snow and I have sunshine. So just saying. Anyway. We do video game conversations. We do life conversations. Look, we are a little bit more mature on this podcast, so we could buy our own beer. We reflect on a lot of things, and that kind of stuff is what we're going to do to start. So we're going to do a little story time. I'm going to play the jingle. If you don't hear the jingle, it's okay. I'll add it in post edits. But for now, just imagine you're hearing a jingle.
Everyone here loves story time, our favorite time of the day.
And my guess is it's because my headphone feedback isn't working. I don't know quite what's happening there. So, yeah, we'll just play it by ear. That being said, let's talk about this past week. So, a lot going on in my life. Obviously, I wasn't on the podcast last week, and I think that is... for those in the U.S., you probably understand we had an open house because we are in the process of selling our house. But for those overseas, I don't think open houses are a normal thing. So maybe I can do a little justice and describe basically what that is. In a nutshell, when you get ready to sell your home, of course, you list it and you have a real estate agent that will help you with all of that. But you put it out onto the market, and here in the U.S. we have this tradition of kind of having open houses where, a couple days out of the weekend, you allow potential buyers to come into the house and just see it without having to make an appointment. Half the time, I think half the people coming into your house are just people that were your neighbors. They just want to see what you've done to the house. But you do every once in a while get an occasional buyer that comes through. And so, and that can be, to your benefit. So we scheduled up the open house. The problem was, and of course you can never, you don't know, but rain is the worst thing possible for an open house. And, cause nobody wants to go out in the rain. And so of course the first day of our open house, it was raining all day long. Not a torrential downpour rain, but enough that it was a pain in the butt to get out and go see, houses, that kind of thing. So we had very limited traffic coming through that first day. And then the second day was on a Sunday. You're conflicting with people that go to church or people watching football, the NFL, of course. So traffic was not as ideal on the second day either. But lo and behold, we did get a couple that came through the first day, and then the second day they came back. And they actually asked if they could come back at night and be with their agent and come in and check out the house at night. They wanted to show their dad the house. And so, they made a request to come in at 9 o'clock at night, which we were like, okay, 9 o'clock is a little bit late. So we compromised and we said, we can let you come in at 8 o'clock. And they'd claimed they wanted to hear the sound and see, if they could hear traffic from the freeway. Because where we live, there is a I won't call it a major freeway, but there is a freeway not too far from us. So you can hear cars in the distance every now and then, but inside the house, you won't hear anything. It's just if you're in the backyard hanging out, you'll hear a little bit of traffic noise. Either way, we said, okay, that's fine. So we let them come into the house with their agent, and they walked around for a little while. Of course, we were across the park looking at them the entire time, watching them go through our house. And we were just sitting in our car. It was very much like a spy situation where we're just kind of low profile, making sure they couldn't see us, but we could see where they, them. And of course, I have cameras set up in the house for my son, so we were making use of those cameras, and we were watching as they went through the house. So we surmised that this couple actually was live streaming their walkthrough of the house with their dad, like doing a FaceTime, something like that. And so, ultimately, they went through, they told our agent that they were probably going to be making an offer. So we were like, fantastic, that's our first offer. And then we had another couple coming through the next day on Monday with their agent, and they came in and saw the house on Monday afternoon. And then they wanted to come back the next day and look at it one more time. And so that was another good sign. So we're like, okay, well, you know what? Even though we didn't have the greatest amount of foot traffic, we did have a couple different potential buyers that seemed pretty serious. We also had a third potential buyer that had set up time to come see the house on Tuesday afternoon. So, it was just kind of a kind of a well, they're starting to come now. So we end up getting a offer from the couple that came on Monday afternoon. Now this couple, they had flown down from Washington. I don't know if that's a really important detail or not, but they came down, they made an offer on the house, and much to our delight, they were giving us full asking price. So there was a couple caveats to it, but full asking price, which is great because, we were asking for the higher end on value of the houses in this area. And so we were pleased. And so we basically, oh, look, Twin Rocks Runner is calling me. They can go to voicemail. Anyway, they made that full offer. And then we were waiting on this other couple because they had now said that they were in fact going to make an offer, but they had to meet and talk with their client at 4 p.m. in the afternoon. And so we were kind of like, well, we have an offer coming in from this other couple, so make sure you get your offer in time. Now, we knew that the couple from Washington that, gave us the initial offer, full value, again, there were a couple things that they wanted to negotiate with us on, and we weren't overly thrilled. I shouldn't say that. Let me roll that back. It wasn't a perfect offer, but it was a really good offer. And so we liked it, but we wanted to hear what this other couple had to say. So we're waiting and waiting. And of course, this couple from Washington, because they had flown in, they were flying back to Washington. They were in the process of moving back down here. And they had said, hey, we would like to get your response to our offer by noon the next day. So we knew we had a time frame now on us. So we're waiting for this other couple. Nothing's coming through. The agent texts our agent saying, hey, yeah, we're putting together the offer. We should have it to you tonight. And so, right around 8 o'clock, we're like, where's the offer? What's going on? Finally, we get the offer, and it's probably 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. Our agent calls us up and tells us, okay, I want you just to hear all of what they want first before I tell you what they gave you for the offer. So pretty traditionally in a house sale, at least in our area, the refrigerator can be included, but it's not always included. It's very much an optional thing. Almost never are the washer and dryer included. And other things, within the house are just, it's kind of the walls and whatever appliances are fixed, such as the stove, the microwave, those kinds of things stay with the house. But anyway, we get the offer and they say they want our refrigerator that matches the appliances, which, okay, fine, sure. Go ahead. You know what? I'm okay with that. I get it. Because we probably weren't going to use our refrigerator in our new house anyway. So then they asked for the washer and dryer. Okay. Then they asked for my barbecue. They also had been eyeing the wall painting that we had. And then they wanted us to completely pay off our solar agreement. And that again, I kind of understood because nobody wanted a solar lease. They would rather own it outright. Okay, fine. But then the dollar amount, they came in $50,000 under our asking price on top of all of these other asks. And so we were just basically like, this isn't even a realistic offer. This is a joke. So we basically told them to pound sand. We ended up negotiating with the other couple. We kind of ironed things out. We accepted their offer. And so we are in contract to sell this house. And so as of December 15th, that should be the final day where we get keys to our new place. And we'll, in theory, be giving up keys to this place. However, we actually were able to negotiate out to be able to stay here rent-free until basically December 27th. And we have to turn the keys back over to them. So it'll work out really nicely. We'll have a kind of an easy move transition as opposed to, like a hard date to get out from this house and finally, just getting our keys to the new house. So that is the house selling aspect of it. It is done for all intents and purposes. So next on the block, it's packing. It's packing things up. And I gotta say, these glass cabinets behind me have me nervous. I because everything's wired and all of the lighting is actually double sided taped onto the glass shelves. It's going to make moving them tricky. I think I'm going to try and move them all in one piece, but maybe bubble wrap the shelves to protect them individually, and of course move all the stuff out of them. But anyway, yeah, that's what I get to look forward to. Packing up, but we get to pack up finally. We no longer have to kind of walk on eggshells in the house, because that's the other thing when you do an open house. Ideally, what you're doing is you're going to take your house and you're going to declutter it. You're going to put all of the personal stuff away. You're going to move out some of your furniture. You're going to basically make it look like a model home. And this way, when people come in, they don't see your stuff. They see the vision of what it could be for them. And so the downside to that, though, is you're sitting there, just you can't leave any dirty dishes out. You have to constantly be mindful of laundry not piling up. You can't you always have to wipe down the shower stalls and make sure the glass is all clean and the mirrors are clean and nothing stays on the countertops. It's just a constant, you're constantly cleaning as you go, which is great on one hand, but it's tiring. And there's times where I want to leave the sink, the dishes in the sink until the next morning. But you can't necessarily always do that, because you never know when an agent's going to say, hey, we'd like to take a client and come by and see the house. So that's behind us. No more having to worry about that. But I do got a massive shout out to our realtor. Her name is Mina Reed. She did such a fantastic job. She created this awesome video that I shared with our WhatsApp group. You probably could see it if you go on Zillow and look up my house, 638 Darlington Way in Lincoln, California. You will see the video of the house they created. If I was being smart, I'd put it up on screen right now, but I'm lazy, so that ain't going to happen. She also had professional pictures taken inside of the house. I mean, she also was here helping us box stuff up. She was helping clean up our yard just to get things prepped. I mean, she did above and beyond what you would think a real estate agent should do or would do. Anyway, so housing done. Now, Thanksgiving just happened. So for those of you that don't know what Thanksgiving is, well, of course there's broader meaning of it in terms of the Pilgrims and the Indians getting together within the U.S. and basically breaking bread together. So it's a celebration of family and friend, but it's also just become this traditional holiday where we usually will cook up turkeys. We'll have all kinds of fixings to go with it: mashed potatoes, sweet potato pie. You can have green bean casserole. You can have pumpkin pie is my favorite thing when it comes to Thanksgiving, and of course turkey stuffing that goes in the turkey. But we had a non-traditional Thanksgiving this year. Now, not only were we in the process of selling our house, but we went down to my in-laws, and my mother-in-law was kind of like, I'm not really wanting to do Thanksgiving. And we're like, well, look, we don't have to make it a big production. Let's keep it simple this year. We'll come down, we'll get there. We'll have some easy meal the night before. And then for Thanksgiving, we're just going to do spaghetti and meatballs. Simple. It was the greatest Thanksgiving ever. Okay, maybe not the greatest Thanksgiving ever, but it was really good. We had a great time. We played Uno and some card games. Thanksgiving meal was literally salad, spaghetti and meatballs, some garlic toast, and great wine, and it was perfect. There was no hassle. We had a bunch of kind of appetizer stuff, charcuterie board, crackers, cheese, and meats out for during the day snacking. And then we just gorged on a wonderful meal. And I would just say to anybody ever wondering if you can do a non-traditional Thanksgiving, 100% yes. So I highly recommend it. It's less stressful. You're not worried about, did the turkey get cooked enough? Did it not get cooked enough? You're not having to worry about, all the little individual dishes. Just have fun with it. Okay, so from the Thanksgiving holiday, we got back, and of course now we are in the process of now embracing moving. So we're going to begin boxing up stuff. We have already established there's not going to be a traditional Christmas. So my wife looked at me. She's like, no Christmas gifts, not even a Christmas card. Let's just keep it easy. Our Christmas gift to ourselves is our new house. We're canceling some wine club memberships. We're going from 5 down to 2. We're keeping the 2 that we love, which are Jeff Rehnquist and a winery called Driven, and then canceling off the rest, just to trim some of the fat off of the monthly expenditures that we have, because we're going to be spending a lot of money. Not only are we buying the house, but there's all kinds of things you just don't think about when you start to move into a place. So I have to, there's a new TV to purchase. Yes, I'm keeping my old TV, but now in our place, we have a backyard TV. Yes, you heard that right. Backyard TV that's going to sit above a fireplace in our back patio. And then we have our main living room TV, and that is going to be an upgrade. And I think I'm going to shoot for 75 inches, possibly an 85-inch TV. So that is happening. I have to get new speakers for the ceiling. I've got to get, so the surround sound system can be in place. We have to get a new refrigerator to match up to the appliances within the kitchen. And then you have things like window coverings. I mean, just all the little things you take for granted. I'm like, window coverings, why? Oh, no, we need blinds. We do. So that's the stuff I get to look forward to in the coming month. But hopefully, come January, crossing fingers, things will be a little slowed down. It'll be a little bit back to normal. What this means for the podcast, that is a big question mark. Not that we won't have podcasts, but just my availability. So next weekend, I likely am not going to be on because I'm going to travel up to my folks. So you'll have Robin. So we're going to be kind of going a little back and forth with one another. The following week, I believe I will be here for a podcast and have my computer set up. But right after that, we go straight into the move. So the following week, I may not be set up in time. So again, it's all up in the air when it comes to December. Okay. I think that about does it for my story time. And by the way, let me just give Robin a shout out. Robin last week manned the show himself. He did a great job. Yes, I am sorry to those that had to endure the racing conversation, because let's face it, that's Robin's thing now. He's all about the sim racing, and so there was definitely an earful of the racing stuff. But it was good. It was good. He does a great job. Robin, he can talk your ear off if you let him. So you know what? Hey, shout out to Robin Tate. Thank you for covering the desk last week, and likely thank you for covering the desk next week, because it'll be your turn again. All right. So this is where I'm going to insert some music or sounds that you're not going to hear on the live version. Apologies again. I'm not sure what's going on with my headset, but yeah, it's actually my computer. We'll talk about that in a moment.
Today I feel like playing computer games. Today I feel like playing computer games.
All right. So on the gaming front, my PC is getting up there in years, and every once in a while when I have it just in kind of sleep mode, that kind of thing, when it comes back out of sleep mode, audio issues can kind of pop up. I don't know what I was trying to say there, but either way, right now the audio, my headset, even though I have an earbud in my ear, I cannot hear anything being played. I know it's coming through on the stream, with the exception of the sound effects, and that is primarily because it's all tied into supposedly my headset feed. It's a hot mess at the moment. But don't worry, on the audio version, you're going to hear everything and it's going to sound perfectly fine. Okay, games. Let's talk about games that I played this past week. Believe it or not, I didn't play that much. But I did get in a couple of games. So the first game I want to talk about is Baldur's Gate 3. Now, this is going to be a very short conversation because, in a nutshell, I tried playing Baldur's Gate 3 on my Steam Deck while at Thanksgiving at the in-laws' place. Thank you, Boomer. It's being played, so I guess the music did come through after all. So I played Baldur's Gate for all of 5 minutes. It's tough when you are, in a social setting such as a Thanksgiving gathering to try and just sit there and play some games. It wasn't happening. I did it early in the morning. I was trying to do it while having some coffee, but ultimately just it was not in the cards for me to get any Baldur's Gate time in a significant way. The little tease that I got of playing it, I still love this game. It plays great, by the way, on a Steam Deck. So, if you were considering that for the handheld side of it, absolutely well worth the pickup there. Now, what did I play in earnest? I played a game called War Tales. So I am going to pull it up, some video of it on screen here, if I can get the right screen to pop up. Let's transition over. All right, so War Tales. So the description on War Tales, I can read you the description here. Hang on, have a second. Let me do that first. This is great podcasting. I'm sure you're like, good job, Greg. But I do have the description of War Tales here. Now, this game came out about a year ago on PC. Lord, cheers. Glad you can make it. We're talking about War Tales. So this is an open world RPG game. Came out to PC about a year ago. I think it was in early access for a while. And then it has finally made its way to full access, but also released onto the Xbox. And I saw it. It's part of Game Pass for PC as well as for the Series X. And so I thought, you know what? Why not give it a shot? And I played this using cloud streaming. So that was the other kind of differentiator here. Instead of downloading the game, I decided to just play this solo. Play through cloud. Don't download it. Just see if I like it. Give it a go. So real quickly, here's the description just to give you the ambiance of the game. A century has passed since the fall of the Adoran Empire at the hands of unprecedented plague that swept through the nation. Now the land is rife with mercenary work, banditry, and thievery, with honor having become an almost entirely forgotten virtue. Now prepare to lead a group of unscrupulous characters in a massive open world where combat, death, and the thirst for riches will dictate your day-to-day life. You are not the hero of the story. You are not the hero of the story, destined to usher in a new era of peace. Your goal is solely to survive and thrive in the harsh and hostile world by any means necessary. So there you go. That's the lead up. That's the sell job from the company. So let me show you some of the gameplay. So it's interesting because isometric view. You control, and this is the Xbox footage, Xbox capturing here. So just know that it's definitely a game built for PC. What I found, first thing I had to do was I don't know if it works on Steam Deck. I would imagine it does because it works great on the Xbox. But you do have to increase the size of the text. Now, okay, sure, my old eyes, you could certainly put some blame there. But I found sitting where I normally sit gaming-wise, the text on screen was very much PC. So it needed to be enlarged. Thankfully, on the Xbox version, they do allow you to increase the size of the text. And so it was a decent size. It was readable enough. So that would be my first recommendation to do right off the bat. Combat, how the combat plays out. So you wander the map in real time, kind of, I would say almost like an old Zelda-like adventure where you're wandering the map. You see your group on the screen kind of cruising around to different locations. and you see them traveling as a group from a far back drawn, isometric view. And when you stumble into a combat scenario, it then zooms into what you're seeing on screen, where it's in close and it's turn-based combat. So similar to Baldur's Gate 3, similar to XCOM, turn-based, and I don't exactly know how they determine the order of characters. They don't. The tutorials in the game aren't terribly great. They're satisfactory, but they're not they're not really holding your hand a lot. So you kind of get thrown into the fire a little bit. Inventory management and upgrading is kind of a learn on your own kind of scenario. They don't, again, do a great job of giving you the tutorial, but in a nutshell, you have your 4 characters. You are trying to survive and gain riches and grow your little band. And so you can hire additional companions that you have to pay. So you kind of become a little army of in and of yourself. I as far as I know, that's the gist of it. You are just there to gain gold, grow your characters. There is an online component to it, a multiplayer component to the game. I haven't tried that out yet. I'm assuming it's going to be very much like you could be wandering around and come across another mercenary band of people that are controlled by somebody else. And then you go into this isometric turn-based combat scenario and play against that other character. And if you defeat them, you get some of their loot. Every time I've beaten out another bandit group in the single player, you don't get everything, but they'll leave behind certain pieces of loot that you get to capture. The other cool thing about the game is it has this kind of real-time weather system also in place. So sometimes it'll get super foggy or rainy. And then as you're seeing here on screen, you get some of these, kill shots when you take down a particular enemy, and it'll go in for that zoom in, similar to like an XCOM or game where they show you that up close, more graphical version of the kill strike. I like it so far. The only thing I wish I had a little more direction on was understanding what it is I'm trying to do. But as you can see, it's got this realism to it in terms of the combat side of it. And you know what? I just overall, this is a surprise. And again, if you're playing this on the Xbox, when you play it, you can sense this is made for a PC, especially some of the menu selections. It does your mouse cursor become, your right thumbstick becomes a mouse cursor, so to speak. It's not overly bad. You can also use the D-pad to bounce between different things, so it makes it easy. But in combat, because of the way they designed it, it is very easy to use with the gamepad. And I found moving around the territory easy with the gamepad. Here, there's a shot of the camping scene. So basically, every night you have to camp. When your guys get tired, you need to rest, you need to eat, replenish hit points. So there is that survival aspect to the game as well. You can starve to death, and the game has difficulty settings in it that it does that kind of interesting thing where you start the game off and you will basically kind of pick your band of characters. They give you, I think, 4 different choices on types of pre-loadout. And then there will be some characteristics you're going to choose that will give you some perks. And then they'll also give you some, kind of cons or non-perks that, can be basically bad for your group, depending upon the scenario. And I think... I'm trying to remember what I picked, and I can't for the life of me remember what I picked. But anyway, so it has that element to it. And then, of course, as you're playing, if you pick some of the harder difficulties, eating and sleeping and permadeath become more prevalent, whereas like the easier versions or the lower level difficulties, permadeath can still be there, but starving to death and needing to eat and find resources of that nature aren't necessarily a high priority. Graphically, I think it looks really nice. Not game of the year. Oh my God, these are the greatest graphics I've ever seen. But they present nicely. It looks nice on screen. And again, the weather effects are nice as well. I think it looks great on the Series X as well. So, it's transitioned nicely to console. And again, this is on Game Pass. So if you have Game Pass and you like turn-based combat games similar to Baldur's Gate 3, check this out. I would say the one thing this game doesn't have that a Baldur's Gate 3 does is magic. This is set in a kind of more realistic, past history setting. It says, it talks about a country. I don't know what country this is supposed to be. I don't think I ever found that out. So is it a, English countryside? I don't think so. But so they don't give it that kind of realistic setting, but it's based on kind of that more, I was going to say Renaissance. That's not right. Just swords, shields, kind of that Braveheart era combat. It's bloody, it's bloodthirst, but there's no dragons, there's no mystical wizards, nothing like that. It's all very grounded in our past history, so to speak, in terms of what's realistic, what you can get, what you can make. So I've rambled on about this game enough, but I really do think if you like this kind of game, I think this is worth checking out. Again, you can play it on PC. It's on PC Game Pass as well. So give it a shot. And if you want something on the Series X, it's there. I would say play it from the cloud. Don't worry about downloading it. It played just fine through the cloud streaming. So that's a great way to test it, see if you like it. If you don't like it, it's fine. You just walk away from it. All right. So enough of the talking about games, because that was literally the only other game I played. But now we'll talk a little bit about some news. So let me pull up. I think this should work for us.
Here is the fucking news.
All right. So the news. Where to start with on the news? Let me just transition over to my news screen. So, it was an interesting week of news in that, we had the what was it? The Game Awards nominations, and maybe we start there. So we had the Jeff Keighley award nominations, and all of this was going on while I was away, but. Then there was this conversation about the Xbox tax, and I found that a little funny because I think there's some credence to it, but I don't think it's a console warring kind of thing. I think the quote unquote Xbox tax really just boils down to the Xbox is not a popular system compared to the PlayStation or the Nintendo Switch, and so. Critics are going to play games on those other systems more likely than they are going to play it on an Xbox. And so by virtue, you're going to have that kind of slant. Now, let's talk about the Game Awards, because I think part of the problem, part of where this Xbox tax thing came in is really because of how the Game Awards are structured. So right off the bat, Game of the Year, we saw Alan Wake 2 was nominated. Baldur's Gate 3 was nominated. Marvel's Spider-Man 2 nominated, Resident Evil 4 nominated, and then Super Mario Brothers Wonder, and then The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. All 6 of those games nominated for Game of the Year. I think, for the most part, all worthy of being nominees for Game of the Year. The exception would be Resident Evil 4. Now, I feel pretty strongly that Game of the Year nominations shouldn't be remakes. I think if it is a reboot of a series and completely changing it, similar to what they did with kind of Resident Evil 2, where it really was not just a remake of the game, but they really kind of recreated that entire game, including how it controlled and how it presented. Different story, but Resident Evil 4. yes, they put a lot of work into this, but I mean, it is for all intents and purposes, the same game. So I don't think remakes should be making the list. That being said, it is what it is. So those are your Game of the Year nominations. Now, I think Baldur's Gate 3 is going to win outright for Game of the Year. And primarily because it took the gaming industry by a lot of surprise. I don't think anybody saw this game coming, and it is beloved by so many because they did such a very good job with this game. I think that is how it's just going to get the nod as the media darling. But the problem with the Keighley Awards, and we'll just call them the Keighley Awards because that's, the Game Awards, it's a marketing event wrapped around a award ceremony. And that's the problem with the Game Awards, is that the Game Awards themselves are kind of secondary. It's, this is a marketing event. This is E3 2, or part 2, if you will, during the wintertime. It's all about the new trailers that come out, the world premieres, and that because they make the nominations, or they talk about the award winners. Sometimes they don't even show them on screen. They just talk about how they gave them their award off screen. So the award ceremony itself feels very secondary. And then I think the other problem with the Game Awards is just some of the actual awards. So we have Game of the Year, and then we get into game direction, best adaptation, best narrative, best art direction, best score and music, best audio design, best performance. There's only one category for best performance. I think we should have best female performance, best male performance. If you want to be a pronoun perfectionist, you can have a best they performance. But there should be multiple performance related, best secondary character performance or best NPC performances, things of that nature. They have games for impact. What is games for impact? What is it that even a thing? Best ongoing game, which is kind of, again, super subjective, because we have Apex Legends, Cyberpunk, Final Fantasy 14, Fortnite, and Genshin Impact. There are plenty of games that I think were more worthy of being on best ongoing, best community support, best independent game, best debut indie game. So what's the difference between best independent game and best debut indie game? Again, best mobile game. They get into these genre things, by the way. So best action genre game. Well, if Spider-Man 2 is nominated for Game of the Year, and it is an action game, you would think it would also be in the category for best action game. But it's best action adventure game. That's where it came in to be nominated. Not best action game, but best action adventure game, because for some reason they've created two categories here, best action game and then best action adventure game. I don't get the distinction. I don't understand how you could possibly make a distinction between that. But again, by virtue, if you win best action adventure game, then all of these other games can't possibly win Game of the Year. So what I mean by that is, if we look at best action adventure game, you've got Alan Wake 2, Marvel Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4, and The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom are all in the best action adventure game. And then you have Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Now, if Star Wars Jedi Survivor should happen to win this category, I think that actually takes all of these other games out of contention for running for Game of the Year. Because how can they possibly be Game of the Year if they couldn't win their own category? So this is kind of the fallacy. This is the problem with the awards, the way they're set up. They've got these subgenres set up, and then they've got this overarching best game of the year. Well, if you can't win your own subgenre, then how can you possibly win Game of the Year? Also, and this is where that Xbox tax thing kind of comes into place, Resident Evil 4, I believe, is nominated in 5 different categories. The only other game to be nominated in 5 different categories is Hi-Fi Rush. If your game is nominated for 5 different independent awards within the Game Awards thing, you would think, or I personally would think at least, that would make it really kind of cream of the crop, and maybe it should be in consideration for Game of the Year. Yet somehow it was left at the cutting room floor and didn't make it into the cut. So again, I think the Game Awards can have a lot of cleanup. I think they can get rid of, the best esports game, content creator of the year. Get rid of that crap. That's not, it's not most anticipated game. What is it? What is this award? It's not even an award. So I think Keighley needs to really rethink the actual awards given out and create something maybe a little bit more akin to the Oscars. We want this to be the Oscars for video games. Let's give the categories a better, an overhaul and something that's more relatable to, what it should be, which is let's focus in on some of the performance. Let's focus in on direction. Let's focus in on writing. Let's focus in on music and score. Let's focus in on graphics and have, a graphics category. Let's get to some of that nitty gritty stuff and get away from the genre based stuff, because the genre based stuff, to me, it just doesn't quite work. Okay, that's my rant on the Game of the Year awards and, of course, the Xbox tax. What else? There was some other stuff I wanted to talk about here. We can talk about some of the video game news that kind of happened over the past couple weeks. I'm on the Video Games Chronicle website. That's typically where I'm pulling news stories from. So I'm just going to kind of roll through this. There's a bunch of, a gazillion stories around Black Friday deals. Look, if you needed a video game console, Black Friday is the time to have gotten it. Hopefully you were able to score something off of Black Friday if you were indeed looking to do that. Me personally, I found a house. Not really, but we pretty much are squared away on all of that. Warner Brothers denies the Wonder Woman game will be a live service game. A job listing suggested the game could feature live service elements. Look, I am sure Wonder Woman will have some live service elements to it. Almost all the games these days do. They have DLC, they have cosmetics you can buy, even when they're single player. So I'm not going to be shocked. But does this mean the game will be a straight live services game? No, I my guess is it's going to be something similar to what they've done with, the Batman series games, where you're going to have some of those DLC things that you can get and buy and spend money on beyond just the base game. But it's not going to be, that what we've come to know as a live service game. Infinity Ward expands again with a new studio in Austin, Texas. So they opened another studio earlier in Spain this year. So they are expanding, which is interesting. So Infinity Ward continues to grow. Scrolling through here, looks like Immortals of Avian studio layoffs, came down to poor sales in a crowded market per CEO. I keep forgetting Immortals of Avian even came out. I've heard good things about the game, by the way, so it might be worth checking out. It might be a Black Friday sale right now. You never know. I didn't bother looking, but I think that game really, it really was. It came out at a bad time because it was overshadowed by Baldur's Gate 3. It was overshadowed by all of the other upcoming games that were coming out. So people had a lot of anticipation for Starfield, Spider-Man, and so it just never caught on. So yeah, I imagine Mortals of Avium will strike some kind of deal with Game Pass or PlayStation to get it out there. I think it'll actually be on EA's Play. So anyway, PlayStation Platinum Plus, PlayStation Plus Premium members are getting a trial demo of both Baldur's Gate 3 and Gollum. One game is not like the other. Oh yeah, so there is a demo for Avium, Immortals of Avium. Thank you, Kim, for that. I see the Turkey Fest has ended, but yeah, this is interesting. This PlayStation Plus Premium trial. Now they talked about this as being one of the perks of the system. I haven't really heard a lot about a lot of game trials coming to PlayStation Premium. These are actually the first two notable ones that I can remember, non-Sony related. Baldur's Gate 3 is a great game. So this is a nice score for somebody, that wants to try out the game, go in and trial the game. This also kind of points to me thinking that maybe Baldur's Gate 3 hasn't had the critical success we had hoped for PlayStation, the PlayStation release. Gollum Trials, again, two sides of the coin. That's a game that absolutely got panned. And so maybe they're trying to redeem themselves a little bit by getting it on. They got a little deal here, so they can get a little bit extra money. Go try it if you want. But I personally, I just have no desire to play that game. So yeah, but they're there. Hey, PlayStation Plus Premium members, here's a nice perk for you. So go check it out. And I would be curious to hear what you think of it. Okay. Let's see. There is a closed alpha test for the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League game. This game, I'm cautiously optimistic. I didn't love what I saw the first time, but this test is going to be held November 30th, 6 p.m. on the West Coast. Sorry, 6 a.m. on the West Coast, 9 a.m. on the East Coast. We don't care about Kim's time zone. It'll be 12 p.m. British Standard Time. If you can get into the closed, the closed beta, hey, maybe it's interesting. I don't know. My first impression of the game was not great, so I am less likely to be inclined to try and check this out. But if reviews start coming through and they're positive, maybe I will check it out. Let's see here. Sony suggests more PlayStation Portal stock could be available in the UK this week. Did that release? Did I just completely miss that? The PlayStation Portal is out. Your PSP that's not really portable is out. I don't understand where this fits. I suppose if you just, again, it's really just a one thing device. You're on your couch, the TV's being used. Okay, you can play your PlayStation 5 on your Portal. You can't do anything with it beyond that. You can't stream Netflix to it. You cannot play cloud games on it. You can't take it outside of the house or anywhere other than you have to be able to remote connect to your PS5. So supposedly it's sold out quickly in the UK. I'm assuming we have to wait till next month in the US. So it launched in the UK. It says in the US, the PlayStation Direct site says the handheld not in stock. Please check back early December for more details and stock availability. So, okay, it launched in the US as well. Again, I totally forgot this thing was coming. And apparently it's sold out. So a bunch of people have their lovely PlayStation Portal, and they are now locked and loaded on the couch next to their TV. What other stories came out? What other tidbits can we just glean from the news? Activision claims Modern Warfare 3 is seeing record engagement levels for the trilogy. So this is the new sales metric we get to endure, the engagement. Thank you for the historic launch, the site said Tuesday. Just 2 weeks in, Modern Warfare 3 has already set records with the highest engagement in the Modern Warfare trilogy. According to the game publisher, the game has seen more hours played overall than 2019's Modern Warfare and last year's Modern Warfare 2. It's also called the game's Zombies mode, the most engaging third mode in a Modern Warfare history. And so the campaign players have put in more time per player in Modern Warfare 3 than in the previous two installments. Look, it was a short campaign, so I think everybody figured they could probably just power through the campaign. Zombie modes, that's the one that intrigued me the most about this. I still have yet to play it, by the way. That again, life is getting in the way of me playing video games. Let's see here. Modern Warfare 2 topped 1 billion in sales in 10 days. So Microsoft is happy. They've recouped 1 billion of their $70 billion deal. There we go. We'll see how Modern Warfare 3 holds up over time. Modern Warfare 2. I was talking about Modern Warfare 2 sales. We don't know what the sales are for Modern Warfare 3. We just know physical sales during the launch week in the UK were down 25% compared to its predecessor. So that's not encouraging. But again, we're talking about engagement. We don't talk about sales anymore, just engagement. Sony set to face a $5 billion class action lawsuit over PlayStation Store prices. Interesting little tidbit here. A class action lawsuit accusing Sony of overcharging PlayStation Store customers by up to £5 billion. 5 billion pounds, 6 billion, if I could only talk, it would really help. 6.27 billion in US dollars. The UK's specialist court has ruled that the trial can proceed. So it alleges that Sony abuses its dominant position in the market by charging excessive PlayStation Store prices. This was a lawsuit that was filed by the consumer rights campaigner Alex Neil on behalf of 8.9 million PlayStation customers, and that would be in the UK. So that's interesting. That's one to watch. Price fixing, that kind of thing, price gouging. Never a good look. Now, granted, I don't necessarily know Sony has purposely gone out and done some of this stuff, but we'll see. Boomer, yes, I do need to join you for zombies. Absolutely. So we can actually have a squad of 3 as opposed to how they do it, which is you and Kim would be playing by yourselves, and then there'd be one random person with you that would go off and run off on their own. All right. Let's see. Last news stories. Let's just scrub the first page and see what's here. UEFA Euro 24 is coming to EA Sports FC 24 as a free update. I don't even know what that means. I'm assuming it's soccer players. Yes, I said soccer players. More soccer players for FC 24. Modern Warfare 3 developer is investigating an exploit that lets players sprint while lying prone. Well, yeah, that would be problematic. Okay. A bunch of more Black Friday deals. Look, again, if you needed anything gaming related, this weekend and Monday, the Amazon Cyber Monday days, these are the days to go buy video game stuff. Ubisoft says a technical error was behind the pop-up adverts in Assassin's Creed. Now, this is an interesting story because this came about. There was a news story that basically said a Reddit clip, a user uploaded a clip showing an unwelcome interruption popping up while they were attempting to access Assassin's Creed Odyssey in-game map on the Series X. So in a nutshell, they went to go to the map screen in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and this pop-up ad shows up on screen for just a few seconds saying Assassin's Creed Mirage 20% off Black Friday sale. And then you can close it or you can go buy the game now. And then the ad disappeared once you closed it. That's in game. We're not talking about a loading screen. We're not talking about on a dashboard somewhere. We're talking about this ad popped up when he went to go to the map screen. This ad pops up, and Ubisoft is saying it was a technical error. Well, I'm sure it was a technical error because they didn't mean for him to see it, but they 100% are experimenting with in-game ads. That's absolutely shitty. Do not want. Please, please, please keep that crap out of games. I don't mind a dashboard app when I'm sitting on a dashboard screen, much like, TV, whatever. You get a commercial that'll pop up here and there. But in the games that you have bought and paid money for, I'm sorry, no, that can't be. Now, maybe, actually, as I'm talking this through, maybe this is the plan in that Ubisoft has their subscription service. Maybe they're going to create an ad-supported tier where maybe you can get into their subscription service at a discounted price, but of course, you will have ads. Oh, yeah. I actually think that might be the case, and that sucks. I hate the ads. What is Peacock, I think, has, or Paramount Plus has a subscription service, 2 tiers. One is like $5 a month and one is $10 a month. And the $5 a month subscription that you're paying for still has ads. No, thank you. Do not want. Anyway, hopefully you now hear me and understand. I do not like that. The Division Heartland has been rated and suggests it could be releasing soon. I forget this game is even coming. Let's see. Trying to think where. So in September, Ubisoft announced The Division 3 was in early development. The publisher announced that Julian Garrett, who is currently serving as creative director on Star Wars Outlaws, has also been appointed as executive producer to the Division series. But I'm trying to think where it has been. So it was rated in the Taiwan ratings board, suggesting a release date could be close. The rating board states it was rated on November 14th. Maybe a January release, February release, or possibly March. It can't go much beyond that, though. Typically speaking, you're not going that far out for ratings. So, I guess expect to see that game soon. I don't know if it's going to be good or not, but hey, we'll see. And I think that does it for the news. Yeah. So there we go. That is the news as it stands now. And what else? What else can we talk about? We could talk about new releases, but Kim didn't update our new release schedule. Shame on you, Kim. It's all your fault. Let me see if I can just get into that. I don't think there's really going to be much new releases anyway, but let's see if we can pop in the new release calendar. Again, all Kim's fault. But for... let's see, November. Is there anything coming out? Well, yeah, there's a few. So November 28th, you've got Calico on PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4. You have Dune Spice Wars coming to the Xbox Series X and S for November 28th. Roller Dome is now making its way to the Xbox Series X and S, also on the 28th. Biomutant. That's a game I was really interested in, but never came out. Well, I shouldn't say that. It came out. I just never bought it. But that's coming to the Switch on November 30th. And then Gangs of Sherwood. That will be coming to the PlayStation 5 Series X and S PC on November 30th, along with Hitman Blood Money Reprisal for iOS and Android. And then Turok 3. Shadow of Oblivion Remastered for PlayStation 5 Series X and S, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, PC, everything under the sun. That'll be November 30th. And then if we go into December, and there's a couple games on December 1st, so we can talk about that. You've got Batman Arkham Trilogy for the Switch. You have Dragon Quest Monsters, The Dark Prince, and then Steam World Build. That will be coming for PlayStation 5, Series X and S, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, PC, everything under the sun. December 1st for all the 3 of those games. And that rounds out the new releases for next week. Okay. So we got the new releases. No thanks to Kim. I'll be honest. Halo, I've been loving playing Halo, but schedule-wise, it's been challenging. So the Wednesday night Halos, it's going to be hit and miss for me. And that's just because life right now is very much in the way. But, look for Snoogans, look for, Martin, look for Lewis. They are doing their best to keep that going on Wednesdays. So if you see us out there, hop in, have some fun. Halo Infinite has become a fantastic game again. It has seen a rebirth with, the launch of Forge, I think, really was the most important thing this game could have. It's a shame they didn't have it at launch because it reviewed great, but it just didn't have the content to follow up. And Forge is now really the powerhouse supplying that content. Bongo is doing his racing bits. So if you want to talk racing, hang out, play some Assetto Corsa Competizione. I don't know how to say the name of the game. But yeah, Bongo's doing that. Sunday nights, kind of every other week. He has a Sunday night community race night. And then during the week, he is absolutely doing Wednesday nights, usually around 8 p.m., 9 p.m. in the UK for about an hour. All right. It's that time. I've rambled on at least an hour. So hopefully you've enjoyed the hour that I've given you of just rambling, talking about nonsense, talking about video games, talking about life. It's what we do. And so importantly, if you've listened to this, and I appreciate Lord being here. I appreciate Boomer being here. I'm not sure I appreciate Kim being here because it really just rubs in the fact that she could have been on the podcast, but she chose not to be. So in that case, hopefully her Chiefs are losing to the Raiders because that would be the ultimate insult. I don't know if they are or not. Not paying attention right now. But yeah, give us a like. Give us a follow. If you're on YouTube, do that. If you're on Twitch, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you see us on social media, we're on Twitter. We're also on our own individual Twitter handle, so you can check us out and follow us there. And yes, it's Twitter. I'm sorry. I'm not going to say X ever. So I think Elon just needs to get over the fact that the name X doesn't work. Make it Twitter back again. Just agree. You made a little bit of a mistake there. It was a wrong step. Nobody is calling it X. Everybody is calling it Twitter, or they stumble around stupidly and be like, well, it's X or Twitter, or Twitter, formerly Twitter X. It's just call it Twitter, please, for the love of God. Shout out to Robin and Judith. Loved seeing they had a great date night last night. I hope Robin has gotten many Skype calls during his racing tonight. Shout out to Kim. Kim, I gave you a hard time, but no, I hope you had a fantastic Thanksgiving with your family, and it was kind of spread out over 2 different weekends. So hopefully that it all came together nicely. Shout out to Mark. I hope your back is feeling better. He hurt his back with work, and hopefully, Mark, one of these days we can drag you back to the show. You hinted at possibly coming in on off weeks with Robin. No pressure, but some pressure. Pete, get fired already. What are you doing? Pete is in the midst of transitioning out of his current work. He is working on his boat tirelessly. Hopefully that is all coming together nicely for him and his family. But we do miss Pete. He had contacted us saying he should be back next week. We'll see. And shout out to my wife because she's been working hard getting this house ready to be sold. And above and beyond that, we actually rescreened screens today right before the show, telling you what I was, there's a hint into my life. But she's good. She's good. So just want to give her a shout out. Also, had I known rescreening a screen was as easy as it is these days, because you no longer have to use the stupid aluminum screen. You can use a vinyl screen that just cuts super easy. Oh my God, I would have rescreened all of our screens. Anyway, that's it. I can't think of anything more to ramble on about, so I'm just gonna say thank you for tuning in. Come back next weekend. You're probably going to be subjected to a lot of racing conversation, unfortunately. I'm sorry, but it is what it is. But if you can stomach that, please come back because we will have additional conversation beyond just racing nonsense. All right, that's it. I'm out of here. Have a great rest of your week and come back next week. We'll talk then. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Overseas Connection podcast. See you same time next week.